Hello and welcome back to another Pricey HD video. Today we've got another Birmingham City career mode episode, and I do apologise that there hasn't been enough of these recently. It's mainly because exams, coursework, everything is really overwhelming at the moment, and I don't want to say it, but YouTube is most likely the last priority. I am really sorry, but this will speed up once they're all over, which is still a few months away, but it will speed up once they're all over. Anyway, in the background right now, you've got a squad report, and you can see that players are improving very well. Chai Adams, Lozano, Han He, Pereira, they're all going up, which is just great to see. Roll down as well, nice to see our youth improving as we'd expect. But we start today's game off with an episode... We start today's episode off with a game against Southampton, and this time out, we are at St Andrews. So, can we improve on what we did last episode? In fact, it's been so long since I've recorded a commentary, I can't actually remember what happened last episode, so I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure we did pretty well, though. I think. I'm reasonably certain we did rather well. Considering where we are in the league at the moment, you can see that we are doing incredibly well at the start of this campaign. People will be arguing that this is becoming a bit unrealistic now. Maybe the difficulty should be kicking in, you know, with our position being 6th and 17 points from 10 games. It's not that I'm finding it easy, not at all. I just think that we've really worked hard, and genuinely, the results have been lucky. But this wasn't lucky. You can see...
Forget everything.
Look, we need to try and forget, like, what just happened then, because what a dreadful start to the game. Shane Long, the former Albion striker, puts Southampton ahead, and it is so gut-wrenching, because ultimately that was so unlucky. Like, I cannot believe it. It's like, I clicked pass right, and the centre-back Morrison was there, and then by the time it had been passed out, Morrison sort of stepped back a little bit, and they just took advantage of it. Another chance they want to take advantage of here is the penalty kick that I've just given away with our centre-back Jonathan Spector. Getting a bit on now, the American centre-back and / right-back, so we probably do need to replace him in January, or at least in summer next season. So, ultimately, there is some squad improvement areas that we still need to take advantage of. Charlie Austin does double the lead for Southampton as well from that spot kick, and they are 2-0 up. But the 2-1 is brought from Han He on the following beautiful little goal, and it's good to see his hunger for the goal here as he pounces on the attack in chance, and luckily here we get a ball straight through to Lozano. Lozano hasn't had the most exciting of starts, but he was a whisker away there from having a very exciting goal. 1-on-1 there, he was being caught up by the defender, and the left foot of Lozano does hit the ball just slightly wide of the goal. 2-1 at half-time. We're still in this game. We're not expecting to win every game in the league, ever, this year. It's not going to happen. It already hasn't happened, of course, but ultimately, we've had a very good start to the league campaign. We can't expect to carry on in the same vein as such. That hit the post as well there, by the way. You can't really see it in the chance, but the sound effects did clarify that it did hit the post. And Southampton give away a penalty in the final closing moments of the game, and it is a second yellow, I believe, as well. It's a red card for Van Dijk, and he is off the field. Lozano has worked his socks off, and ironically, in fact, it's his last touch of the game, that, as he's dragged down in the penalty area, and it's his last touch of the game because I'd already made the sub before that chance for Chai Adams. He comes on, and Chai Adams' first touch, he's been on for seconds. He scores the penalty. Unbelievable that we've actually scored a penalty, and 10-man Southampton are stunned. They are drawn to the spot. After all, we are at 2-2 from 2-0 behind. Now, this is just the most unbelievable of comebacks, I think, so far this year that we've done. 2-0 behind. We've had, granted, a lot of time to work our way back into the game, but it could have went all wrong. We could have conceded a third and fourth. But as one more chance falls to Jacob Murphy, it's 3-2. We're in the lead. This is magical. And St Andrews is in delirium. It is unbelievable. 3-2, and in the 88th minute, there is another goal for us, which puts us in the lead. Unbelievable from Jacob Murphy. In fact, I was very tempted to bring Jacob Murphy off. I was really disappointed with his performance in that game, in fact, throughout the entire game. But luckily, just about, we managed to grab the win. Unbelievable end to that game. Genuinely, the 10 men Southampton just get punished for that 10 men exactly. So, 2 penalties in that game as well, which is quite unbelievable. I can't that hasn't sunk in. Games like that just make the Premier League what it is, and at the moment, the position that we're in the Premier League is, quite frankly, dreamland. We are on cloud 9, quite literally on cloud 9. Well, we're not quite literally, we're metaphorically, but, you know. Either way, game against Man United now. Lovely to be at a very, very official stadium of Old Trafford. I love the fact that there's, like, all 20 Premier League stadiums, plus, of course, the relegated teams from previous seasons now in the game, and it is fantastic. I cannot wish enough that we would just have a chance to get into the Premier League just so we'd get our stadium on FIFA, literally. Anyway, Man United go 1-0 up just on the stroke of half-time. We've done very well this game to sustain that attacking pressure from Man United, but ultimately, teams like this, they do break you down and they do force goals out of you, and we were quite literally being choked here because we were under so much pressure, and, well, under the cosh is the basic slang term, I suppose, in football words, but literally, they were dominant, and if it wasn't for a lucky miss on that bicycle kick there, we could have easily been 2-0 behind. Of course, the crossbar was also shattered as well by that header, but ultimately, this was an incredibly tough game, and we weren't expecting to win. We was expecting to just keep our dignity here and try and not lose all our goal difference that we'd earned so hard over the last few games. But Man United do double their lead. Of course, I think it's Mkhitaryan goes celebrating off with Jose Mourinho, and rightly so as well. I mean, it's Darmian, sorry. So ultimately, I think this is it's one of them games that you don't expect to win, but pulling off shots like that, you never know what could have happened in the final closing minutes. Of course, we lose 2-0, but, you know, I'm really not too disappointed. Like, we're a team that's got to avoid relegation. The press have doubted us so much we're apparently going to finish 20th according to them. We're in about 6th. So when you have games like Southampton where you win 3-2, they're the games that you need to win, because ultimately these are the games that you're pretty much guaranteed to lose. So when you're beating the Southampton 3-2 in the final minutes, that can be the difference between staying up and not. If we go on a poor run of form, you never know how much we could fly down the league table. Genuinely, you just don't know. Watford now is another team that are doing very, very well this campaign. It's really odd, this campaign is. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with FIFA, but there's some really odd results. You've got Aston Villa, promoted team, of course our rivals, doing well. You've got West Brom up there, and they were second at the start of the episode. Not sure where they are now, but still they're around or about the areas of the Champions League and Europa League spots. Then you got us, of course, as well. Granted, we are playing our own, controlling our own team, so we probably will overperform slightly, mainly because you find in career mode, teams overperform just because it's not real football. But then you also have Watford, who are third, and it is just a magic start to the season for them as well. We're only 2 points behind them, though, so this is a real 6-pointer, even though it's so early on in the game, in the season, sorry. So, although it is so early on in the season, I think you can pretty much solidly call this a top 6-pointer, because this is two teams who don't expect to be in that area of the league, and these sort of games can decide which way their season's going to go from here. If it wasn't for a Kyle Williams miss there, we could have been 1-0 up. But unfortunately, we're not. We've got to sort of deal with that after that Man United 2-0 loss. We've got to deal that we might not win every game. Of course, that's not going to happen. It's not going to be a Southampton game every week. So, ultimately, at half-time, 0-0, I think it was a pretty solid half overall. Not much creative spark. Few bits and bobs that we tried to string together, but nothing solid, nothing decisive, and nothing clinical. But Che Adams, in the final minutes of the second half, gets the ball, he passes it back across to Reece Brown! Reece Brown, the substitute, has put us ahead here against Watford, and I don't know what it is at the moment, but in this episode we seem to have a knack of scoring in the final 10 minutes, and that was an unbelievable final moment win, and you've got to credit them there. Brilliant resilience. Reece Brown is a substitute. I remember last season he came on as a sub and scored 2. This season he's come on as a sub and got his first ever Premier League goal. He's only a low rating, Reece Brown, around 67 I think. But, you know, he's a decent sub when you've got a few injuries, when you've got maybe a few tired players. And he wasn't necessarily the player that is going to break into our first team. But he's certainly a player who can pop up with a goal now and then when you need him. Or pop up with an assist. So you've got to credit him for that. Anyway, I do thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure you smash that like button down below. Like I said, don't expect too much Birmingham City career mode content. But I'll try and keep up as best as I can. See you next time and subscribe.